Hey there, everyone. Happy Bulletproof Monday. If you're here live, it's Labor Day, and I'm deeply honored that you're taking a few minutes to hang out. I think it's so awesome. We were at a cottage, Chris, the kids, and I, with my business partner in Radius, Jeff Cox, and his kids, and it was a tremendous amount of fun. And if I seem a little sniffly, I don't know. Maybe it was the great outdoors. But anyway, it's just an honor to be here with all of you. And today's topic is the dream is not dead. I know some of you have some dreams and you're sitting there wondering, is it ever going to come to pass? And can I really do this? Should I just give up? Maybe I shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I should get a job or whatever it is. Find your perfect partner or rekindle a love with your partner you have, or have a baby or whatever it is. And I'm here to tell you, the dream is not dead. It might be dormant, and anytime something is dormant, just like in the winter time when I used to live in Canada, so this would be the relative story. When you don't see any life, there's a ton of life beneath the snow in the soil, and then when spring comes, all of the plants come up from the ground and everything is renewed. And that's the same thing that's true with your dreams. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to share with you some stories of hope. Then I'm going to give you 5 tips to help you keep those dreams alive. I don't want you to give up. Here we are, it's Labor Day. And my goal for you is that the rest of this year is going to be the best of this year. And that whatever was on your heart in January, it's still going to come true. I was doing a lot of reflecting as we were driving back from Sholo, Arizona. And I was just thinking about, okay, what did I say I wanted to do in January? And of those things I said I wanted to do, what have I accomplished? And then I thought, you know what, there's still lots of time to accomplish the things that I haven't gotten done yet. The same thing for all of you. It's great to see you, Hadass and Frank and Bill and Ralph. Hey, Ralph, Amy and Bruce and Rosa. It's great to see all of you. And if I missed your name, I love you. And thank you for being here. So many of you tune in regularly. And this is my way that I get to give back. So wherever you are in the world, just know that this is a time, if you're thinking of starting a business, you're in a business, you're even just thinking of making some bold moves in your life, this is the place to come just to reset every single Monday. A couple quick announcements. One of my favorite humans, Chris Harder, he's got a top 10 show on iTunes for the love of money. I did a cross interview with Chris. So he was interviewing me, so I'm on his show, and I interviewed him on my show, the Susan Sly Project. That came out on iTunes today. And we talk about what makes a good CEO, how to choose investments, an abundant mindset. We talk about artificial intelligence. So that show is out. Check it out. My class, Organize Your Life, starts the 24th of September. This is the last time I am teaching it live. There's so many things going on in my life. I'm moving into my role as a co-CEO of an artificial intelligence company. That company is in massive momentum. I'm still obviously speaking, doing my podcast show, running my other businesses, but it's just, there's not enough bandwidth for me to be able to continue to teach groups live. And so I'm going to start to put my trainings in Learn on Demand. But so this is the last time I'm teaching it live. I've been teaching organizational skills for business owners since the 90s for a very long time. So I'd love to work with you. I think Lucky Cat, the $250 off coupon, I think it still works. I don't know. I don't have the control to turn it on and off. It might still be on. Check it out. And if it isn't, I'm going to, because you're here, I'll extend it. Just email info@susansly.com. Anyway, let's get into it. I made some notes while I was preparing for today's show. So I'm going to start with this story. It's very emotional. It's very personal. So some of you may have heard an iteration of this and some of you may not, but it's really about the first thing I thought of when I wanted to really give you guys hope. I want you all to be successful so badly, and I really and truly believe you can. It's just that we often give up before that, the call that would bring us the right person, the next business deal. We often give up before we, go to the next networking group where we meet that person who presents us with an opportunity to help take our lives to the next level. And so I wanted to share with you, there was a period in my life about 3 years ago where I had given up on some dreams and I became very, very ill. And some of you know that I was diagnosed with progressive multiple sclerosis back in 1997, or sorry, in the year 2000. I was only 27 years old, but I started to be symptomatic in and around 97, and I started dropping things and slurring my speech. My body was in a ton of pain, and I just kept pushing through. Do you know people like that? Maybe you're one, and you just push through, it doesn't matter what's going on, and that's what I was doing. But by 2000, my body broke down, and Ross, my doctor, he diagnosed me with progressive MS. So for a long time, I built businesses, even though my legs were numb and tingling. There were times when I couldn't feel my arm, and I'd be driving the car and I just have to slap my arm because I would just lose the sensation. I was slurring my speech. I was exhausted. And at times, even though there I was cheering on all of you to be have it all women, have it all men, and get organized, I candidly, I was depressed. And I suffered with a lot of anxiety. And there were times I just wake up in the night and I'd be sweating and I couldn't get back to sleep, and I just paced around the house. So after going to see my beautiful daughter Maggie in Africa, and I came back and was so sick, and I was in bed, and I remember looking up and just, it was like, the room was spinning, and I was doing a leadership training for my direct sales business, and I'd be in the bed and I'd take myself off camera and I'd be motivating all of them because I knew they needed it. And that's the thing with leadership. You got to find a different gear. You got to find a gear. Most cars, if you have a standard, they have 5 gears. Sports cars that are like super, super tricked out, they have 6 gears. Leaders have to have that 6th gear. Maybe that's my next book title. Anyway, the 6th gear of leadership. But that's the thing. And I knew they needed me. And I kept thinking, I am exhausted. I feel like I'm dying. And in the quiet moments in prayer, God would always say to me, Susan, in order to live, you're going to have to die. And so finally, when I was diagnosed by this beautiful man, Dr. Cahill in New York, he said, you have an amoeba, it's shutting down your organs. And then he sent me to a colleague of his who found out that I had Lyme disease. And he said, I don't know if you've even ever had MS, but you have Lyme. And then I went to another doctor, and I ended up finding out that I had 4 of the 9 strains of Lyme. And the doctor said, Susan, we're going to have to basically kill your body in order for you to live. So for 2 years, I was on severe, like heavy duty antibiotics and medications and treatment. And finally last year, I got the green light that I was free of Lyme disease. And the reason I share this story is because I had wanted to write my next book. I had wanted to do more speaking. I had wanted to grow my business. I had wanted to do so many things, but God has a sense of humor. And he was like, Susan, you're going to have to park it because you're going to have to die in order to live. And that's what's going on for some of you right now. You're sitting in this place where you have this dream, and it could be, a rank advancement in a direct sales business. It could be opening a company. It could be becoming a tech investor. It could be all sorts of things. And you're in a place where you've got to shift something. There's something that you're not addressing. You see, I pushed and I pushed and I pushed. And I know some of you can relate because I know you, but I'm not going to call you up by name. But I kept on pushing, and I wasn't dealing with it. I was just pushing it under the rug. Wayne Dyer, I was talking to Wayne on the phone many years ago. He said, Susan, I have cancer, right? And I said, I heard. And he said, I'm just not going to deal with it. He's like, I'm just going to talk to it and let it cohabitate my body. And I'm just going to live my life. And that was his choice to do that. And he did some beautiful things. I remember he called me on his birthday and he said, guess what I was just doing? I said, Wayne, what were you doing? And he said, I just went down to the beach and gave thousands of dollars away to people who were homeless. Isn't that awesome? And I'm like, you are so awesome. So even though he was dying, he was choosing to live. But I wonder if he had made a different choice to take some time out and say, you know what, I am going to deal with this. He had, lots of money. He could have gone to, he's in clinics and treatment and so on. He just chose not to deal with it. And that was his decision, right or wrong. For me, years and years and years of choosing not to deal with things finally caught up with me until I was forced to deal with it. So there was a period of time, and this is probably one of my most transparent Bulletproof Mondays, that I was so hard on myself. During that treatment period, I gained 20 pounds. My clothes didn't fit. I would look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh. There were times, here I had done the Boston Marathon 6 times. And, I'd say to Chris, can we go walking? And I'd walk for 5 minutes and I'd have to hold on to him because I was so dizzy, and then I'd turn around. I remember I was speaking at Eric Worre's event in Las Vegas, and I think there were 10,000 people. And the lights were so bright and I was so overstimulated. I was just praying to God. I was like, God, please let your words be my words. And I did my talk and I was keynoting and people were cheering, and they're still all over YouTube. I don't even remember what I said. And I went back to my hotel and I just laid down. I didn't go to any of the VIP parties. I didn't, because I couldn't handle it. I was that sick. And, my dreams that I had before getting sick, they're still there. I want to do 10 Boston marathons. I want to take a company and grow it to a massive company and help a lot of folks, and then do a successful exit. I want to travel all over the world and empower people. There's so many things I still want to do, but I had to park that dream because the thing I was not dealing with, the thing I was avoiding, had to eventually be dealt with. Does this make sense, everybody? I hope it does. I hope it does. I want to tell you another story. When I was young, I loved the movie Wall Street. How many of you remember that with Charlie Sheen and Michael Douglas? And so that was the 80s, and I was going to be I was going to be this stockbroker, Wall Street person, and I read every single day all the financial newspapers back when newspapers were a thing. And I had decided at a very young age that I was going to be a millionaire. And so when I was in my early 20s, I was a prison guard in Canada, and I was teaching aerobics part-time. I put myself through college teaching fitness, personal training, doing all that stuff. And I auditioned at this health club, tried out. Do you remember Flashdance, right? So think about that. So I had to do this audition. And the first time I auditioned, I didn't get it. She's like, you do not understand syncopation. Syncopation is essentially how you move within an 8 count of music. So I came and I auditioned again, and I didn't get it. And I went home and I cried, and I was like, oh, Susan, you suck, right? How many of you have been there? You look in the mirror, you're like, oh, you suck. What is wrong with you? So I said, okay, I gotta go a third time. And I worked really hard, and I rehearsed every single moment. I was working straight midnight shifts. I'd run home from the penitentiary. I'd go to one of the classes at the gym. I'd attend the best instructor classes. I'd rehearse, and I came back and I finally got it. And on that day, just before I walked into my third audition, I looked up at the sign and I said, one day I'm going to own this health club. And so for, I think it was 3 years, I worked at that health club. And when I was just turning 24, I was pregnant for my daughter, Avery, and the health club went up for sale. And so I started calling people and asking friends for loans. And I was like, I was going to buy this health club. And I bought the health club, and I suddenly was a millionaire on paper. So keep in mind, before this, I'm doing in-home personal training. I left the prison. It was a little depressing. Shouts out if you work in law enforcement, by the way. I love you so much that if you can really keep your head on straight when you're seeing all this stuff day to day, it's incredible. So I left, and I'm personal training, I'm teaching fitness, I'm doing all this stuff. And I find myself a millionaire on paper because there was $1 million. This business was worth $1 million. So 24 years old, I'm a millionaire. And I was like, yeah, see, I'm a millionaire, and I did it. But here's the thing. With great wealth comes great responsibility. And there was definitely another plan for me. So, fast forward to the year 2000, and I end up losing the club, losing my then marriage, getting sick. And I'm like, okay, God, but what about my dreams? And there I was. I had been on radio, television. I was a college professor. I had a staff of 56 people. I drove a Mercedes, and I was a nationally ranked athlete. And suddenly, in a 16-week period, multiple sclerosis diagnosis, my marriage ends. I lose my health club. I end up homeless. And think about it. that would have been enough opportunity for a lot of people to go, well, I guess it's over for you, girlfriend. You're never going to run the Boston Marathon. You're never going to be a millionaire earning over $1 million a year. You're never going to succeed at anything because you just became a public failure. In fact, they wrote about my demise in the newspaper. That's how bad it was. And, you know, I had to get humbled. I had to get humbled. And so that summer, I ended up meeting someone who would introduce me to the world of network marketing. And it was network marketing where I became a millionaire. And when you think about it, you know, it's interesting because in Silicon Valley, you know, people have said to me, oh, well, people don't have a lot of respect for people who are in network marketing. And you know, my feeling is that I would say to anyone, if you want a PhD in business, go build a network marketing business and get it to at least multiple six figures and see how you do. Because you're going to learn a lot of freaking skills. And people who don't respect people who've built successful network marketing businesses, think about it. What you have to do, you have to learn leadership, team building, motivation, self-discipline. No one's there telling you what to do every day. You know, it's quite incredible. So that's just my little sidebar about that. But, you know, I still had the dream, but it didn't happen the way I thought it was going to happen. I thought, oh, I'm a millionaire because I'm, you know, own this health club and I'm on radio and television. That's how I'm going to be a millionaire. And it was not that. It ended up being network marketing. And so I want to share with you some of those stories and hope they'll uplift your heart, because those dreams you have, Suzanne and Denise and Ralph and Bruce and all of you, those dreams you have, they're not dead. It's just that perhaps there's a few things to consider, and I want to get into 5 things right now. Number 1, it's God's timing, not your timing. It's God's timing, not your timing. When I was diagnosed with MS, the first thing I thought is, crap, I haven't run the Boston Marathon yet. Well, yeah, guess what? Now I've run 6 of them. Okay, but it was not that timing, right? And it's the same thing. You may, you know, I have a friend who, you know, he started, you know, a startup. He started another startup. It's his 3rd startup, the one that's really, really in momentum, and that's the Radius, right? And we were having this conversation over the weekend, and this guy is like my brother, and he was like, but the dream didn't die, and I kept on going and going and going because I knew eventually I'd be successful, and it was hard. He said, one year I made $20,000, and I have my 2 little girls, and I'm supporting them on $20,000, and it was tough. He didn't let the dream die because he knew it was God's timing, not his timing. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is an opportunity for you to focus on you. And this is the hardest freaking thing to do. The journey from the head to the heart, right, is about 18 inches. It is so hard to look yourself in the mirror and say, how do I have to be better? How do I have to grow? How do I need to show up as in order to be successful, in order to rekindle this dream? Because if you're not getting what it is you are dreaming of, then maybe you're not the person yet who is worthy of that dream. Look at all the loss I had to go through, a marriage, a business. I didn't even tell you about, you know, my miscarriage that I had. I was 12 weeks pregnant and I was running on the treadmill and I just miscarried a baby. Like, all the loss I had to go through to get to that point where I could show up as the person who was worthy of those things she was dreaming of. And then just when I thought, okay, God, I've gone through enough pain, then I go through almost dying, you know, being in bed, being sick for 3 years. Thank God I'm an athlete and I can pull it off. But, you know, there were some dreams I thought, oh, okay, I guess those aren't going to happen. But I just wasn't worthy of them yet. Right? If you're not a millionaire yet, it just means there's some work you need to do. Lots of people become millionaires. Lots of people became billionaires with Bitcoin or investing in tech or doing just different things. If they can do it, you can do it too. They just think differently than you do. They have an abundant mindset. My friend sent me a text about, you know, this thing that's going on. I'm not going to get into the details. And I said, it's because that person feels they deserve that amount of money. And once you feel you deserve it, once you step into that place of worthiness, not from a place of ego, but from a place of abundance, that's when it begins to show up. The ideas begin to flow. The people begin to show up in your life, right? Number 3, you've got to stay the course. Right? There are those times and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. You've got to stay the course. The dream is the dream is the dream. Let God take care of the how. When I got diagnosed with MS, I still wanted to come top 10 in the pro division of the Ironman. It would be a year later, almost to the day of my diagnosis, and I fractured my pelvis. You guys know the story, and I still finished 8th in the pro division of the Ironman triathlon, 2.2 mile swim. Right? 112 mile bike, 26.2 mile run with a fractured pelvis. And I came 8th in the pro division. Some of the best women in the world, the number 1 in the world. I raced against her that day, Natasha Badman, amazing athlete. And that dream, I thought when I got diagnosed with MS, I thought for a second, I was like, oh, I'll never come top 10 in the Ironman. And I was like, Susan, stop it. Slap yourself, right? Come on, girl. That dream is there for a reason. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. Some of you are so caught up in the how. Maybe you have a sales team and you're like, finally, I have this person. They're the person that's going to help take this team to the next level. It might not be them. It might be someone else. It might be the least likely person. You don't know. All right. Number 4, align your mindset with your dream. It's very, very important who you listen to, what you listen to. If you have a dream you haven't quite realized yet, you need to shift your environment. So for example, I know I want to do 4 more Boston marathons. So I just bought Meb Keflezighi's book. If you don't know who Meb is, he won the Boston Marathon. He's one of he was the last American man to win the Boston. I met Meb at a party one night, and he's just got this beautiful soul. Amazing. It was the 2013 pre-Boston Marathon Runners World Party. And I was there with my friend Dottie Lassard, who, God rest her soul, has now passed. And I met Meb that night, and amazing. So I'm that dream, now that I've come through all this treatment, I'm like, oh, I want to do 4 more Bostons, but I've got to qualify. And the good news is in 3 years, I'm going to be 50. And I'm so excited because now I have a slower qualifying time. So it's awesome, right? So I'm started that dream. And so I'm reading books by marathoners who took their careers later in life. If you want to be a millionaire, you need to listen to millionaires. People will say, oh, so-and-so says you need to do it this way. And I'm like, well, has so-and-so done it? That's the question. I do not, when I love Peloton. I love Peloton. I'm not telling you all my Peloton name because I'm not racing you. But I go on there, and one of the Peloton trainers, Robin, she was an attorney, and she left being an attorney to pursue her passion. She's also diabetic, and she's ripped, and she's a vegetarian. And I went on Peloton this morning, and I turn it on, and they're like, here are Robin's classes, because they know I watch Robin. Why? Because she's a badass, because I respect her. She's got the kind of body that, I want to, emulate. She left a corporate career because she was so unhappy, and I have a ton of respect for her, right? So it's this, are you guys with me? Are you getting it? I hope you are. What you read, what you watch, what you put in your ears, the events you attend, they better be put on by people who have walked that path or can inspire you to walk that path more, right? Someone I know is putting on a seminar, and they're like, I'd love for you to come. And I said, I'll come if I'm speaking. Now, I know some of you all are like, Susan, that's a little freaking arrogant. No, it's not. The only seminars I attend are put on by people who I respect, who are at a level that I aspire to be at, right? And I hope that's landing. Okay. All right. Number 5, work like it's up to you, pray like it's up to God. And if you've been here since the beginning today, so many people have a short attention span. You can't just come to Bulletproof Monday and watch a minute of it, because you're not going to get it. Give yourself a pat on the back. If you've stayed here, we're 24 minutes in, that 24 minutes out of your day, 24 minutes out of a 24-hour day where I just poured my heart and soul out to you. And I talked about when I was depressed, when I had anxiety, when I was in bed, but I didn't ever get to the point where for more than a minute, I let the dream die. Even when my first marriage fell apart, God love him, it just wasn't, we were not those people. I still had a dream of having a family, meeting the one, but I knew I had to work on me. I had to get rid of the scarlet letters, right? And this is a final thing. If you work like it's up to you and you pray like it's up to God, and this isn't about religion, this is about God is God is God, it will happen. It will happen. It might be, next week. It might be a month from now. It might be 5 months from now. It might be like, for me, some of my dreams, I feel like, 3 years ago, I'm still dreaming the same things today that I was 3 years ago, but that's okay, because there were some things I had to go through. There was a person I needed to become in order to be a better mentor to all of you, right? So with that, this has been Bulletproof Monday. I don't know, guys. I just have so much love in my heart for all of you right now. There's still plenty of time the rest of this year to make those dreams come true. I will go and read all of your comments. I do every single week. And if this show has been helpful to you, please do share it. Know that I convert them into podcasts. Well, I don't, my team does. They're all up on iTunes. So you can go like on a Bulletproof Monday, like, woo, I'm going to listen to all of them. And again, check out the interview with my friend, Chris Harder. It is awesome. It's on iTunes right now. So with that, God bless. Much love to all of you. And I will see you next Monday. Goodbye, everybody.